So in case you haven't heard, the Bears need a new head coach next season. Here's what the odds are saying. Some of the names on that list of who it could be: Joe Brady, Ben Johnson, Thomas Brown is on there. He's the interim. Aaron Glenn, Liam Cohen, Kellen Moore, and Mike Vrabel among those that will likely be considered this offseason. We welcome you back here to our United Center studios, and we are so grateful to be joined by the one and only Mark Grote from 670 The Score. Mark, we'll get to the head coaching search here in just a minute, but I want to hear about Detroit. What was that locker room like after the loss yesterday?
Yeah, I think it was more resigned to the idea of what was coming and what inevitably happened today, and that was the head coach being fired. And as I made my little dance, I like to call it a little dance that I do through the locker room, all of the players that we spoke to were willing to say and to share the fact that they thought a timeout should have been called at the end. DJ Moore, right from the start. DJ, were you surprised that a timeout wasn't called? Yeah, I was surprised that a timeout wasn't called. Keenan Allen, were you surprised the timeout wasn't called after Caleb Williams takes that sack? One word answer to me: yes. Kyler Gordon said something that was very interesting too. He was asked something along.
No comment.
Well,
he said the no comment.
Yeah, the no comment. But you should know the question too. He was asked, I believe, by Pat Finley. Is there a common denominator in what goes wrong at the ends of these games? One thing that you should also know too: there's a long pause before Kyler Gordon answered the question, and then, as you said, Ruthie, it was a big old no comment.
Pretty leading question, but pretty good answer. I mean, everybody knows what the problem was at the end of the game. And I think when you look at what the players had to say after this game, it was consistent with what, frankly, the players have been saying all season. How much of player, I guess, contribution, they talked a lot, Mark. This is a team that talks a lot. How much did that play a role?
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, the fact that there's 8 captains on this team. It's like, be careful what you wish for. This team was empowered. If you're going to have 8 captains, you should probably assume that they are going to speak freely, because part of being a captain is to deal with us, the media, and this happened early on with, you guys remember Shane Waldron? Once upon a time was the...
It feels like a year ago.
Yeah, it does feel like a year ago. It feels like a year ago that Mercedes Lewis...
Is he the guy that handed the ball to the backup guard?
Yeah,
okay, that guy? Yeah, he had to go.
Yeah. But
hey, Doug Kramer, nice 2 snaps it.
And God bless Doug Kramer's grandparents. Nice people, ran into them on the elevator.
They love you too.
They are lovely human beings for sure. But yes, from the very beginning, I mean, the Mercedes Lewis talking that basically that Shane Waldron needed to speak up and,
coach harder,
command the room. And then even recently when Shane Waldron got the old Axarooski, it was right after that Keenan Allen came out and basically said, that he was too soft as well. And
Keenan Allen has spoken a lot for a guy who has been here for 5 minutes, but I think he's respected as a veteran. But what happened yesterday was loud, and it was egregious, and it even angered guys like Jimmy Johnson, the old guard. Take a look at this. Jimmy Johnson, let him have it. In 70 years of coaching at all 3 levels, I've never seen dysfunction that cost a team an opportunity to win the game. Obviously, he's got a rookie quarterback. Different teams do it different ways. But when Eberflus saw that they were off track and they were dysfunction, he should have called timeout. He said he wanted to communicate to the rookie quarterback to throw an out route, stop the clock, then call a timeout. Not that hard. You're sitting there. You know what's going on. Something's got to...
But yeah, I mean, you have
you
have to have presence of mind and think on your feet. I understand what Matt Eberflus thought should have happened, and I get that. Penultimate play, you make the play, then you spike the ball, you stop the clock. That plan was broken up. Now you have to be the adult in the room and bail your quarterback out, bail out your offense, call the timeout, and move on. And it's amazing what people are saying right now. It's too bad it came down to this, that it had to be an embarrassment on Thanksgiving Day to wake everybody up at Hallis Hall.
There were a lot of embarrassments leading up to that, and I think that's the point. And then to add to it, you made them do the 9:05 press conference. All right, let's talk about these Bears first-round quarterbacks that have been through similar situations as the one we're looking at. Mitch Trubisky, 2nd overall, 2017. The next year, they fire John Fox. Drafted Justin Fields, 11th overall, 2021. The next year, fired Matt Nagy. Draft Caleb Williams, 1st overall. They fire Matt Eberflus. He will have a new head coach in 2025, guys, it's just all too familiar.
You can stop the pattern. You can if you hire the right coach. I think you have the quarterback who could be coach-proof, and I think that you have an opportunity now to hire a coach who is the right guy.
How about the fact, too, guys, that it's not out of the question that Caleb Williams will have had 4 different play callers by the time next season begins. We still don't know.
But you know what, Mark? You know what? That's true. That's good. That's trivia. He's good. He's good.
Who's good?
Caleb.
Oh, Caleb.
It's not hurting him, so it's not.
I mean, I don't think so. I think that you're probably right, that he is able to handle all of this, take this in. He has the football intelligence to handle it, but it's not helping him.
So
it's certainly not helping him. And
would you favor offensive innovation and play calling expertise, or would you want your passionate, charismatic leader?
Man, I would prefer play caller. I don't need, and I guess you're talking about Thomas Brown. I understand that Thomas Brown looks golden compared to Shane Waldron. He didn't have to do much. He had to get up there and command the room, command our attention, that is the media, the fans, and the locker room. He has passed all of that, but it's 3 games, and quite honestly, I don't like the idea, even if he succeeds in these next 5 games, and how can he, considering the schedule that the Bears have coming up right now? It's going to be a tough slog for this guy, but it would be, you mentioned it, huh? It would be very Bears if they were to hire Thomas Brown to be their head coach, a guy who's just barely had a sniff in the NFL.
Thomas
Brown can't do that.
Right now, 3rd most likely, according to the betting odds.
Does that make sense to you guys? It doesn't make sense.
I think you got to see how it goes. Yeah. I think you got to see how it goes, because there is something to be said for consistency. As you mentioned, we're going to change it all up again. It's going to be an entire new staff, an entire new defensive staff likely. And I think if Thomas Brown, listen, I'm not saying that this needs to be, you need to have a deep dive search. You need to make sure that you cross all your T's and you dot every I, and you make sure that you are not leaving any stone unturned, Jim Harbaugh.
And the main players in this, Kevin Warren, he's going to be involved. You know that. Ryan Poles, how powerful is he now? This was a decision that was made in the statement. It wasn't a decision that he made as Ryan Poles. Also, Caleb Williams, how much voice will he have and how far will it carry? And hey, you got to say it. Sorry, Carl Williams, the dad. The dad may have a say here.
Yeah.
If they hire a head coach with talking to the dad, I'll be shocked.
He was told that they were going to do things differently, and Ryan Poles, it appeared that they were doing things differently, that they had set up what looked like a strong offense. Unfortunately, Ryan Poles allowed Matt Eberflus to hire the wrong offensive coordinator, and that's another whole thing. How in the world during that interview process?
Ryan Poles hired him too.
Ryan Poles was there.
Of course he had to say it. Don't give him a pass.
Yeah, and for the record, I do think that Ryan Poles deserves another shot, although the mistakes are starting to catch up with the pluses for Ryan Poles. It's starting to even up a little bit.
No doubt.
He got the quarterback right, so I think you can give him some credit there, and that's going to maybe save him at this point.